So first of all, what are we talking about when we're talking about zone of genius? These are phrases coined and developed by Gay Hendricks, author of The Big Leap. Zone of genius, as described by Gay Hendricks, is that zone that when you're in it, you are above and beyond excelling. You are literally living your purpose. You are here doing what you're meant to do, and because you are, everything feels effortless. And he even says that when we're in our zone of genius, we're in such joy that we would do it all day, every day, for free. So what I invite you to do is to take a piece of paper and to divide it into 4 quadrants, just drawing across down the middle. In the lower right-hand quadrant, you're going to write the words zone of mediocrity. In the lower left-hand quadrant, you're going to write the words zone of competency. In the upper right-hand corner, you're going to write the words zone of excellence. And in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to write the words zone of genius. Now, Gay Hendricks would be the first to admit that we're all striving to be in our zone of genius. And I would add to that, actually, I think there's a lot of people who are not. But for those of us who are highly sensitive entrepreneurs and are so conscientious as one of our HSE strengths, is that, yes, we are striving to be in our zone of genius. Now let's just look at what these 4 zones are, first of all. Zone of mediocrity, those are the things that, we're really not so good at. We're really not meant to be doing them in our life. They go against our HSE strengths. For me, in the zone of mediocrity, well, those are things like fixing cars, fixing anything really, and even like cooking. I can prepare food if I have to, but cooking cooking and I don't really mix. Next zone of competency. These are things that we're competent at. We can do them. We can absolutely get by, but just barely. So for me, in the zone of competency, anything that has to do with things like Excel spreadsheets, working with a lot of numbers and calculations, I can do it if I try really hard, but I have to try really hard. Also, anything that's research-oriented, again, I can do it. I can't do it for very long, and I can't do it really well. The third zone of excellence, these are things that we're really, really good at. We're awesome at them. People really praise us for them. But at the end of the day, they take a bit of a toll. There isn't a full flow. So for me, one of the things that is in my zone of excellence is writing copy. I'm really excellent at writing copy. I've really learned that. I've taught myself that over the years. I know my own voice. But it takes energy from me. I can't do it all day, every day. And then zone of genius. This is where we just fly. This is where we just flow. And again, as I shared earlier, you could be here all day, every day, and just be in absolute joy. Maybe just not even needing to get paid. You'll love it that much. Now, the journey of an entrepreneur, and especially the journey of a highly sensitive entrepreneur. First of all, when we're at the core phase of building a business, we're going to need to be in all 4 zones. That's part of starting up. It comes with the territory. What's most important for a highly sensitive entrepreneur is to recognize the more we can hand over from our zone of mediocrity and zone of competency more quickly, the better off we'll be. One of the main keys of success for a highly sensitive entrepreneur, and I want you to write this down, is being willing to be supported. By the time we're at the elite phase, we should absolutely be spending the majority of our time in our zone of excellence and in our zone of genius, with about maybe half in our zone of mediocrity. By the time we're at the eminence phase, we really want to be aiming that we're primarily in our zone of excellence and zone of genius and heading towards primarily being in our zone of genius. And again, what's the key? The key is being willing to be supported. And then what I would add to that is being patient in the journey along the way. And as we patiently go through the phases of growing our businesses and growing ourselves, then we can literally be shifting and transforming ourselves through the zones from mediocrity to competency to excellence and zone of genius.